It's FlamesNation Radio, episode 59. Ryan Pike, Shane Stevenson.
What's up, baby?
And brought to you, as always, by the great people at DoorDash. Spoiler, it's cold as shit right now. So if you order DoorDash and avail yourself of their fine services, throw them a tip. Be a good sport. Be a good citizen. Throw them a tip. And also in this in a very snowy and cold southern Alberta, we're also brought to you by Eau Claire Distillery, the makers of Rupert's Whiskey, the official whiskey of the Calgary Flames. So the last time we spoke, the Flames had lost 2 games in a row, and Shane was in the throes of despair. Since then, the Flames have gone 0 for November, as in they have yet to get a victory in the month of November. They have 2 points out of a possible 8 points. Let's go through the rundown and tell you how the month has gone. The Flames played Nashville on last Thursday. They lost 4-1 to Nashville on Thursday. They did not play well. It was a bad game. Having sat through it, it was both a bad game and a boring game in that the Flames did not play particularly well and not a lot of things happened. It was bad as when we talk about the stereotype of, when you talk about when covering hockey occasionally becomes a job and it feels like work. It's the line we usually throw out is some version of a snowy Tuesday or Thursday against Minnesota or Nashville or Dallas.
Minnesota used to be the go-to.
This is the type of game you throw out and go, this is when this becomes a job. So it was a bad game played poorly. They were better on Saturday night against the New Jersey Devils. They got down 3-1. And then they forced overtime, and then they lost. They lost on a power play in overtime when Elias Lindholm tried a pick play in the neutral zone. Daryl Sutter did not like the penalty. He did not think it was something that should have been called.
They did. I've been thinking of trying to think of someone else, like somewhere else that penalty was called. And the Leafs, they called that on Justin Hall in the playoffs last year when the Leafs were playing.
It's inconsistently called at 5-on-5. Yeah. When it's 3-on-3, it's really obvious.
Whoa, yeah.
So
there's only 60 out there. It's very like, okay, well, you can't just stop that guy. Like,
yeah. If letter of the law, it was a penalty. Letter of the law, it's always a penalty, but it's especially a penalty when you have 40% fewer guys out there.
Yeah.
So that's just the Flames lost. It was a Dougie Hamilton power play goal. It was part of what we affectionately called Old Friends Week when in the Saddle Dome on 4 consecutive days. So when on Thursday, when Nashville came to town, they were led into town by Mark Jankowski, formerly of the Flames. He scored a goal. Dougie Hamilton scored a goal. On Friday afternoon, there was a matinee game from the Calgary Wranglers where John Gillies played. And then on, I believe, Sunday, the Wranglers played the Tucson Roadrunners, and the Tucson Roadrunners feature Patrick Seeloff, formerly of the
Flames second round.
For a goal per game Flame, who famously got traded to the Ottawa Senators for Alex Chiasson, who simply, he's always around. So I thought that was kind of fun. But anyway, so the Flames finally hit the road on Monday. They flew out to Long Island and played a game a month after, actually, the 50th anniversary of the first Flames and Islanders game. The very first game the Islanders franchise and the Flames franchise played was at the old Nassau Coliseum in October 1972. So 50 years and a month later, they play a pretty good game, a pretty fun game to watch in the new Belmont Park Arena at, I guess, the UBS Arena, but it's in Belmont Park, New York, by the racetrack. Beautiful arena. I've been told if you have a chance to travel anywhere, New York City area is always a great place to travel. And they now have 3 arenas that are reasonably close to town, reasonable a subway ride away. The most recently built and most beautiful of them is probably the UBS Arena. And the Flames lost in overtime in that game. It was very much a game the Flames had under control, and then they just couldn't hold on to a lead, much like the game they had earlier on previous week against both Edmonton and the Seattle Kraken. They had a lead. They blew a 3-1 lead. They lost in overtime. Again, we'll get into this when we talk about our player spotlight. It was a game defined by two plays at one end of the ice, one behind the net, one in front of the net, one involved in the third period in a tie game. Casey Cizikas cutting behind the net. Jacob Markstrom behind the net, playing the puck as he will. Jacob Markstrom with his back to the play, having already played the puck. Cizikas blows past him to try to get to the puck. Markstrom kind of backs into him. Cizikas kind of has his leg out. As a result, Markstrom, who did not see Cizikas as he was backing up, falls ass over tea kettle. Flames are mad. Islanders are like, what are you so mad about? No penalty call. Then when they get to overtime, after a whistle, Rasmus Andersson, as he will do from time to time, wanted to assert his physical authority, but gave a guy a bit of a shove. I believe it was Adam Pelech, the defenseman for the New York Islanders. Gave Adam Pelech a bit of a shove from behind. Adam Pelech falls ass over tea kettle into the net, dislodges the net. Big showy fall. He was legitimately shoved. There's no, if you want to say, oh, he it was a soccer play in a hockey game with him selling the call a bit. I can't say he did or didn't, but he got pushed from behind for a guy you didn't see coming. So, I mean, that's not great. Following the game, I know there's a lot of criticism of the officials. The Flames got scored on the power play that resulted from Anderson's penalty.
It should happen. Should happen in overtime for sure.
Yeah. So, Rasmus Andersson, Daryl Sutter following the game basically said, you can't do that. He thought it was a pretty clear-cut penalty. Much like the Lindholm penalty that Daryl didn't like in the previous game. It's one of those penalties where when there's 10 guys out there, it's a little bit less obvious. When there's 3 of you and the whistle's blown down and the guy falls straight into the net and it's big and holy shit, what the hell's going on? Yeah, I can see if you're a referee, you want to call that. Do I think that Cizikas making contact with the goalie behind the net was also a penalty? I'm inclined to think so because I'm call everything, like especially
didn't even give Calgary a power play that game. The Flames had zero power plays. Absolute shit. It was terrible.
The refs have a tough job. I didn't love the job they did. I am more of a call everything kind of person. But yeah, I don't know. But so did the Flames lose because they took a dumb penalty in overtime? Yeah. Should they have gotten a power play late in the game? That's up to you. I think the Anderson penalty was the more egregious call. And so I think that's something you gotta call in that game situation. But I also don't know how you don't call a goalie getting his leg taken out from him. Even if he was backing into
so much. Kadri got tripped blatantly on a breakaway. There's countless boardings and hooks, and they just didn't. It felt like a game. New York didn't get a penalty.
It felt like
Calgary had taken a 2-goal lead. It
felt like a let them play kind of game, but
it was.
If you're going to let them play, you got to let them. If you're going to do that, I think you should do that for the whole game, not just suddenly.
I was waiting after that first Islanders power play. It was such a terrible call. I was like, okay, well now Calgary will get one, and they never got one. And I'm like, well, if you're going to manage the damn game, hypothetically, at least manage it fairly. Holy crap. I honestly, that was an atrocity of officiating. And they get paid enough. I'm fine with being rough on them. That was terrible. That's not acceptable. People bet on this league. People bet money on this league. They can't be doing that. That's terrible.
That's a different segment, Shane.
I know. That's still, it's just unacceptable standard. And the Calgary did a lot of other things. They shouldn't have blown a 3-1 lead in the first place. So I'm not blaming the entire game on the officiating, but it was absolute horseshit.
And let's call a spade a spade. The Flames lost to the Predators, and they deserved to lose the Predators. They weren't good. The Flames got a point from New Jersey. They got outplayed for they were behind most of the game. They clawed back. They stole a point. That was a well-deserved point.
That was the game they shortened the bench, and everyone was up in arms. But if you look at the metrics, the entire team performance improved after all those benches.
That was the game where they played the game with no Michael Stone because Michael Stone got hurt on the first shift. And then they played essentially 4 defensemen and also Connor Mackey occasionally. And then for the third period, they benched Rooney, Lucic, and Michael Backlund. Michael Backlund, Daryl Sutter's first round pick, got benched. Yep. And he was not very good. A lot of guys weren't. They lost the game in overtime. Then the following game in New Jersey, he scored twice. So, I mean, that's, I agree with you though. I think if you look at the pattern that we saw, it was,
Got better.
I thought they were really good for most of the game against the Islanders. They deserved to lose because they gave the game away, but I thought they had they better game management. I think they get more than a point out of that game.
That first period might have been the best first period we've seen them play. They completely
the New Jersey first period was also really good. I'll say this about the New Jersey. I'll say this about the Islanders and the Devils' first periods on the road trip. You got to get more than they did out of those periods.
You got to score more goals. There's been 3 periods where the Flames have absolutely dominated. And in those 3 periods, they have a total of 3 goals. If you control play to the point that 75% of chances and 65% of high danger chances are yours, you need to come away with that more than 1 goal. You have to find a way to finish these chances off, or you're just going to keep losing. And you need to defend in the third period as well. You can't just let all these cross-crease passes.
We'll get into this a little bit later from the viewer mail or the listener the mailbag section. Listener, viewer, Twitter, one of these words, the mailbag. But the Flames, Daryl Sutter said this a few times, they're not a team that's going to score goals in bunches like they did, so they got to work for them. And I thought they had a really good chance to rack up some goals early in both those games, and they're in a case where I wrote this on the site on Tuesday or Wednesday morning after the loss. Your play turns before your results do, and the Flames have been pretty good for much of the last week. They've won 0 games. That's just how it goes sometimes.
I will say the Nashville game was an absolute stinker, and they should feel bad for performing like that in front of their fans. It was terrible.
That was the game that everyone on the team used the word unacceptable 2 or 3 times in the press conferences.
Use it 5 or 6. Jeez, that was terrible. The game against the Devils are like the hottest team in the NHL. Period. They're 10-1 in their last 11.
Their metrics
are unreal. You can't make a turnover against the Devils. They immediately turn and attack. Like there's 0 turn time. There was a play, the puck went to be cleared, it hit Hishier's skate, and he immediately had it on his stick going back the other way in maybe about 1 second. And I'm like, you can't defend that. You just can't make that turnover. Nick DeSimone, I think a couple times, he's young, he's fresh, he's 2 NHL games.
He's not young, he's 28.
Well, he's 28, but he's throwing the puck off the boards, and instead of getting it deep, it's going off the boards, bouncing into the middle, and these NHL players just quick strike back up. You're not prepared because you think you're getting the puck in deep, and you didn't, and it's biting the ass of a lot of people.
Let's transition into player spotlight. Originally, we discussed doing Rasmus Andersson, and we will, because Rasmus Andersson is in discussion, but we had 2 Flames make their Flames debuts over the past week.
Yeah.
One of them actually made his NHL debut. So Nick DeSimone, in the history of the Flames, I think was like the 8th oldest Flame to ever debut with the team. He made his NHL debut 2 weeks shy of his 28th birthday. He's 27 in like 340 something days. So he's one of the oldest first-time players in Flames history. Most of the guys ahead of him are guys that played a lot in Europe and got drafted in the 90s when the draft rules are different. The oldest Flame to ever debut in the NHL was Sergei Makarov, who was friggin' 31. And then they changed
the Calder.
Yeah, he won the Calder, and then they changed the rules under the premise that this guy's been playing pro hockey for a decade already. What the hell? So they changed the rules. They affectionately call that the age requirement for the Calder the Makarov rule, because it should be called the Makarov rule, because that's what it is. But yeah, I thought we saw 2 games of Nick DeSimone. We saw 1 game of Dennis Gilbert. DeSimone in his first game was fine. I thought he was pretty good. I'll say this. So on one of the he made a turnover kind of in the offensive zone that led to a Devils goal. Here's the way it was. DeSimone from the right point throws the puck towards the slot. You're expecting, it's not so hard that it's a shot because it was very easily picked off, but it also wasn't like a super buttery soft dish to no one in particular. He was throwing it at the net because he didn't really have a play beside him. So if
he could have went into the corner.
If you throw it laterally, it's a turnover right up your gut. And if you throw it to the corner, there was guys in the corner. Like the Devils just had position everyone. So he went, throw it towards the net. It got turned over, booted up, and the Devils got a lot of guys up ice in a hurry, and ended up being a goal for I believe Ryan Graves was the trailer on that play.
Graves was the fourth man in. Yeah.
Did Nick DeSimone cause that goal against? No. Nick DeSimone was fine. Did Nick DeSimone make a great defensive play when he came back? You can make an argument, yes or no. All the Flames players seemed a little bit confused because of how much speed and men the Devils had coming their way. That led to some confusion and gave Ryan Graves just a clear lane to the net. So it was more of a systems issue than a Nick DeSimone issue.
I still wanted him to throw it in the corner.
Against the Islanders, that was a Nick DeSimone issue. He played a very good game against the Islanders in his NHL debut. And then unfortunately, the last period of the game, he and the weird thing is, so there was an odd man rush, like a 2-on-1, a quasi 2-on-1, and the Islander player tried to get it across, and Nick DeSimone just snatched it away. He made a really nice defensive play, and then made a really dumb defensive play, throwing it in blindly into the corner, basically making a clearing pass to no one in particular. And then Cobb Palmieri said, "Thank you very much," and scored. That's where they are at. I thought DeSimone on the whole was largely, I didn't notice he was playing much of the game. He was in both those games outside of those whoopsies. And honestly, even the play on the goal in New Jersey, I didn't really think that's on him. I think he was making a play. Was it the best play, Shane? We can argue about that because when I play defense, they're like, if you don't have a play, just throw. If you need to throw it away, well, granted, don't throw it away. But if you're going to throw it away, throw it somewhere that's not dangerous. The least dangerous spot on the ice is the corner. The second least dangerous spot is their net. So I can kind of get the idea behind what he was trying to do. The execution wasn't great, but the thought process probably wasn't terrible.
The thought, I'm not against this thought process. It's just the execution. Like if you're going to do that, you can't go off a shin pad softly and back the other way. It's got to go off a shin pad and into the corner,
and that's
or off a shin pad and not recoverable. Not a soft enough shot that it hits their shin pad and it sits there. The corner, even if there's a guy in the corner, you don't have a guy can go in there and forecheck and keep the puck low. I didn't like it at all. Like if you watch Zadorov or the regulars, they're not against forcing it on net. Their default is let's put it in the corner, let's battle for it, let's get a better opportunity.
That's the kind of thing where if you're going to throw it at net, you throw it high.
You throw it high or harder, a lot harder. He didn't really have room to get any power on it. There's a guy on him, but you don't throw it at the shin pads. That's
do you know who I kind of liked in their Flames debut?
You like Gilbert?
Dennis Gilbert was pretty good.
Yeah, he was all right. He plays very similar. Like there's not a lot of rush in his game. There's a lot of I'll make the simple pass out, I'll make the dump play in, and I'll stay at the blue line.
Dennis Gilbert, I think on a lot of teams would be a rock solid 7-8. I mean, he's in the AHL because the Flames have so many guys. But Dennis Gilbert, I mean, the worst thing to say about him is he's done remarkable. He got in the fight. He made a couple smart plays. He didn't get his head kicked in possession wise. He was there. He was fine. They didn't use him a lot because he's brand new and because they were, they were in a tight game, so they couldn't really use him a lot late in the game based on the coach's preferences. But I thought he was fine.
This situation is an indictment on the defensive prospect depth the Calgary Flames currently have. They're calling up 28-year-olds to make their NHL debut because they don't have anything else down there.
Who else is there?
Well, there's Kuznetsov and Poirier, but they're fresh. Like brand new in the pro. You don't want to call him up.
Poirier has been really, really good offensively. He's not great defensively. He's going to get there.
That's been his MO since they drafted him. So that's
good offensively.
He's
so good.
But like, if you're calling up 25 and 27-year-olds, like maybe take a real hard look at your prospect pipeline on the D-core. I mean, you know who would be really nice to have right now? Is a guy playing in Arizona.
Maybe he should have had a better camp then.
Should have had a better camp. Yeah, sure. Should have maybe had a lot of other things, but right now it's screaming to the fact that the Flames have no defensive depth in their prospect pool.
Hey, let's talk about someone who was defensive depth and then he became really friggin' good. Rasmus Anderson's played a shit ton of hockey. He's played 28 minutes, 25 since when you don't have a Chris Tanev and you don't have a Michael Stone, and Mackenzie Weegar is sort of playing all over the place.
Well, Uyghur and Zadorov have been really good together.
They've been really leaning on Anderson and Hannafin to give them some easier minutes for everyone else. That's the if you look at the theme of the Flames is they lean on whatever the incumbent pair is because they like Zadorov, but I think they get the sense that he has some limitations. So they've been trying to give him since Tanev went down. They've been trying to ease off the tough minutes, and so they've been using Anderson and Hannafin as the tough minutes pair almost exclusively, and it's been going moderately poorly because
I'm
like,
not
it's just, I think it's just
okay with it myself. I was looking at numbers the other day, and I really, but together, I don't think that trend's going to continue. They've always, over the long haul of the season, and we need to remind everyone, we are, 12 games into an 82-game season?
As we record, there's 70 games left.
Yeah, so like it balances out. The numbers don't get regularized or normalized until 30, and they don't get truly randomized until 60. So like, they'll balance out. It'll go better. But right now, they're having trouble getting out of their own zone, and they're having trouble with the coverage in their own zone. But on the power play and puck moving, and if there's any play in the offensive zone, Anderson's on it, and the play stays alive.
I'll say this.
Attacking.
Anderson was very good at the power play the last week. They didn't get a lot of results into the last game or so, but like he's the power play quarterback that I think they've been hoping he'd be. He's been shooting more, it leads to chaos. He's been making smart shots. He's not just sort of throwing big slappers 20 feet off the glass. He's making the guys in front of him get better chances because of those decisions. But I also think at 5-on-5 right now, they're a little bit discombobulated. And I think it's making it a challenge for them at 5-on-5. We've seen that in their numbers. It's at some point it'll balance out or they'll bounce back, but it's very much like it's at this point. Thank God for the power play, because at least in the power play, Hannafin and Anderson, granted separately, they're getting their puck touches, they're getting some confidence, they're able to do some stuff, but it's a lot of it is just some growing pains and some dealing with all the new and missing faces on that blue line right now.
They're playing. The other thing is this is why I hold back on my criticism too much. Is they're paying way more than any defenseman ever should right now. And that's because D keep getting hurt or D keep messing up, and they need to ride them. And I think they're paying upwards of 28 minutes a night, or 26, 28 minutes a night.
They're playing all four of the regulars, the Uyghur, Zadorov, Hannafin, and Anderson are getting mid to high 20s, depending on what happens with the third pair.
Like Anderson himself was always the most played Flames D because he plays all situations, power play and penalty kill. So him adding a few minutes.
So does Hannafin.
An extra 2 minutes a night it's more than people think. When you're going full tilt and you're battling and it's physical and you're constantly, and they have been buried in their own zone and running around.
And they've been playing
wiped.
They've played some good teams, and also Nashville.
Yeah, they
haven't
played some stinkers. They played some really good games.
If you look at the sample size of the teams they played, like Seattle is surprisingly good this year. They're much better than last year. They're a tough out. Edmonton's legitimately good. Sorry, everybody. I hate to say that, but they are really the only team that you look at their record and go, ooh, they lost to them. It's Nashville. Everyone else, you can look at them and say, oh, you lost to them? Well, that's okay. They're pretty good. And they've especially the toughness of the schedule. But I just think, you're playing tough minutes. You're playing a lot of home games. Then you get thrown on the road. You're missing 4 guys. Like it has not been this is, let's say this, the Flames did not go through a lot of adversity last year. We'll get into this a little bit later. They did not go through a lot of adversity last year. Everyone was healthy. They got the bounces. Everyone awards. Everyone scored 40 goals, yada, yada, yada. Everything outside of Monahan getting hurt and then everyone and their dog playing injured in the playoffs. For the most part, 82 games, they had remarkable injury luck, puck luck, every kind of luck you could think of. Luck. Luck ran out this year. They're heading
especially in the back end.
Yeah,
well, I guess now Huberdeau's allegedly, we're not there in a walking boot after
he is in a boot.
Yeah, so like
There's
that's
no alleged about he's in a boot.
yeah, okay. He's in a boot. You would know. You know Wes. Wes was there. Wes is on TV.
My colleague, my old colleague Dan Rice covers the Devils. He texted me. He said, "Hey,
dude,
he's
you
in a
know
boot."
Huberto's in a boot? No,
Yeah,
I
and then
didn't.
he tweeted me, and I asked how is his hair, and he's like, his hair looks amazing.
Always. Yeah, so like I don't know, man. Like this is like they've been playing well. Here's the thing: there's the process, and then there's the result. Is the process good? There was a couple nights the process was not good. That night
I'd say of the last
was
4
terrible.
games, they've played 2.5 good ones.
Yeah,
The problem is they haven't
start-
played a complete 60 yet. And I think that's the thing that frustrates fans.
What frustrates me is the game against the Devils. The Devils only had 1.38 expected goals in all situations, and they lost. You can't lose that. You have to win that. And everyone keeps saying, "Where's Huberto? Where's the goal?"
Because you're talking about the Tuesday game, right?
No, yeah, the Tuesday.
Yeah,
game.
The Flames got both their goals in special teams. The Islanders or the Devils outscored them 2-1 special teams. Actually, the Islanders outscored them 2-0 and even 5.
2-0 and then
it was 2-0. It was 2-0 5-on-5, and then the Flames outscored them 2-1 on special teams.
Power play. But everyone keeps clamoring, where are these guys? Where are the goals? Where are the goals? I'm like, they need to stop these goals. It's not a matter of scoring more. It's a matter of preventing them. You shouldn't, if you have a 3-1 lead with 10 minutes left, you should win that game 9 out of 10 times, 95 out of 100. And they've lost 3 of them.
Those are the types of games that good teams find ways to win. And unfortunately, right now, the Flames are find ways to lose hockey. They play 40, 45 good minutes often in a row, and then just the 5 good minutes they don't have kill them.
It's almost like every turnover, like they'll make 4 turnovers a game and 3 of them lead to goals. It's like they can't make. It's like they need to play a perfect game because the goaltending doesn't bail them out right when they need it, or the play breaks down in such a manner that there's goalie has.
I'm pro goalie. I'm team goalie all the way. I think it's the toughest job in sports. If you look at the Flames goaltending, I'd say since the Carolina game, my line on the goaltending is this: the goaltending has been almost everything the Flames needed them to be. Vladar has been consistently good. Markstrom has been consistently good. If you look back on tape on the goals they've given up, it's been absolute yard sale power play goals in front of them. There's been a couple of them in front of Markstrom where everyone just yard sales out the other way, and it's basically a wild odd man rush towards them.
Well, yeah,
the goals have been the Flames have been giving up have been largely high danger or high risk goals directly off turnovers or odd man rushes coming off turnovers or things like that.
There's not a lot of sustained pressure leading to goals, which is to say something that when the Flames get hemmed in their own zone, they really actually do know how to defend and keep teams outside. They can't do crap all on the rush right now. They are getting destroyed by speed. They do not have the foot speed to defend against a team that's those
are the dangerous chances for goalies to see because you're not really you're moving and you're not really getting your net behind you. But at the same time, I'll say this: the goalies haven't let in bad goals, but I think they're at the point for the Flames where to steal a game here and there, or steal a point here and there, or turn an overtime loss into an overtime win or a regulation win, you need Markstrom or Vladar to make a miraculous save. They've been making good saves. They've been making the saves you'd expect them to make. They just haven't been making miraculous saves, and the Flames have needed them with their play to be miraculous.
Well, without Markstrom's play, you don't get the 2 overtime points. Like this, he did enough to get them there. The team should never have. A couple of those. I always break down on Beyond the Box Score in my In the Crease section. I'm like, do I blame the goalie for this goal? I'm like,
and the answer from Shane is largely no.
Typically no. I blame the team 95% of the time. It's very rare that I'm like, okay, that's on you. Like, that's on you. You need to eat that. That's only happened really once, like this last week. Most of the goals are, okay, well, you should have cleared him from the crease. You should have covered your man. You shouldn't have done that turnover. Like, your goalie can't control that. Your goalie just needs to make saves. The Hischier goal off the rush. I felt he cheated too far to the one side. The middle lane was covered. The defenseman was right with him, and he gave him the far post, and he went posted in. That's also a very skilled top 5
But that's also the type of goal he gave against Palmieri too. The Palmieri goal, opposite side, was posted in.
Yeah, and it's like are you cheating? Are you showing? I'm not on the ice. I can't see the exact angle. But like those
it's
goals,
also a goal scorer's goal though.
well, it's very rare. Yeah, well, that's why I said Nico Hischier didn't go first overall. He's on another level this year. He's finally healthy. He's kicking. Jack Hughes is healthy, kicking. There's no shame in losing 2 games to the Devils. There's none. They are very good this year. And the Islanders are different, and I was hoping they could take that, and they should have took Nashville, but they played an absolute stinker. And that's your week in a nutshell.
And that I think Rasmus Anderson's sort of a microcosm of that. So we'll jump into a bit of betting. Let's talk about Shane's picks, the Betway picks of the day.
Did I get any offers?
Did I get any offers on FlamesNation.ca? Our buddy Shane provides the bets of the day. He gives you some analytics, and then he gives you some picks. And Shane had a surprisingly good week. So the Flames hosting Nashville. He bet Flames win and Duchesne to get a point. That did not happen. The Flames did not win, and Duchesne didn't get a point.
He got an assist, didn't he? First goal.
Assist? Well, it doesn't matter.
It didn't. They didn't.
It did not get converted. He bet Uyghur to get a point or more. That did not happen. And he bet the Flames puck line and the over 5.5 goals. The Flames did not win, and also 5 goals, not over 5.5.
That game broke me on the picking the Flames to do positive things, by the way.
So that's the
trend for the next 3. It's not Flames-centric.
On Saturday, Shane shows evil. He went Jack Hughes to get 1 point or more. That hit. He got screwed by the shot counter a bit.
That sucked.
He went over 65.5 shots, which usually has been a good bet for the Flames. And if you look at the other games the Flames played, they got a lot of shots and usually get over 65. You got 65, not 60, not 66. If they got if either team got one more shot, he would have hit it, but he didn't.
That one.
And then Kadri, 1 or more assists. Kadri got no assists.
You got a goal. Didn't you?
I saw that. I'm like, ooh.
Should have done the point. I banked on that one. I was banking on Madge, Kadri, and Dubé to find the chemistry, early season chemistry that has not came back in any of the games.
So, and then the Flames hit the road, and you know what hit the road? Shane's losing streak because the picks started hitting. The Islanders game, he went 35 plus shots, hit. He went Lindholm over 2.5 shots, hit. And he went Islanders plus 2.5 on the puck line, basically meaning that unless the Islanders lost by 2.5 goals, he would hit. The Islanders won that game, so he went 3 for 3. And then the following night, he picked Devils money line, win, Hughes 1+ assists. Sorry, he's like the only significant player on the Islanders or on the Devils who didn't get a point that night, so they screwed you.
Should have picked Hischier. He was debating.
And then he went Flames 32 plus shots.
They had that with like 10 minutes ago. I was like, oh, okay.
You know, it's, as you can see, there's sort of a nice menagerie of things. When you're betting, you know, you bet on things that you want to see happen, think might happen. And like I'll say this, a pattern I've seen from you, Shane. Your shot prop, if you bet the shot props with the Flames when they're playing the style they're playing,
it's been hitting.
Yeah,
it's been hitting more than less.
I think if the only thing you bet on for the Flames was over under on shots, either for individual players or for games or the team, you're probably not doing poorly. You're never going to get amazing odds on it, but if you want to grind a bit and make little bits at a time, that doesn't seem like a bad strategy.
Shout out to Zach Lang. I've been watching his Betway Bet of the Day videos they do on Oilers Nation.
His hair looks amazing.
And he, fantastic. I'm jealous of his beard. I got rid of mine. But he's been on a streak of just picking shot props. So I was like, I'm going to pick some shot props for the Flames. Like that's the Lindholm one. And I was like, we'll see if it hits. And it immediately hit. So I was like, okay. But the one thing that can derail everything is if the game doesn't go anywhere close to your expectations, i.e.
Nashville.
So I was like, they should have everything about both charts and everything said Calgary should have come in and thwomped them, and they played their worst game ever. And that is the danger. But as you can see, we still starting to hit more and more. And as I get a hang of what's more likely to happen, the more games you get, the more likely you can see what's going to happen. It's just all statistics are that way.
What can we say, Shane? It's life is chaos and hockey is chaos on ice. And that's what we've learned from
chaos and chaos bottled. It's chaos bottled in a chaos bottled in chaos. It's hockey, baby. The puck can bounce anywhere you want, and McDavid will burn you. That's how hockey works.
So I think that'll wrap a bow on our Betway segment. Once again, we're really excited to have Betway on board with the network as a sponsor. You'll see them throughout our content. Really excited to have them on board. It's I believe it's Ontario 19+. Please bet responsibly. Shane does a really great job with the bets of the day. So take a look out for them every game day. Usually they're about an hour or 2 hours right after my Flames game day preview pieces. So you have those two things hand in glove, providing you with both a gambling and non-gambling look at the game ahead. And if you want to gamble, gamble. If you don't want to gamble, don't gamble. But whatever you do, make sure you have fun. Speaking of fun, Shane, we got listener mailbag. Reader mailbag. Twitter mailbag.
There were some good questions this week.
There's one we didn't go with, and let's just say
I loved it. I loved it. It was. We're not going to answer it. It's from Lukey World.
It's you just asked the question.
Are we fucked?
The short answer is no.
No.
This
is a bonus. It was a great question.
We're about 40 something minutes into this episode, folks, and I think we've given you enough reasons why the Flames and or we are not fucked. But yeah,
I love that question because I was like, there's 70 games left, man. Like
and that's the
not even like everyone wants to panic right now, but I'm like, look at the Pacific. There's really only 3 teams you've got to vault over. They're fine. It's not like they're losing. They've lost 6 in a row, but they could easily go on a win 5.
Don't need to be the fastest. You just need to be faster than the bear.
That's damn good. So, Lukey World, we loved your question, but the one that we're actually going to ask comes from Eldon McDowell at Edia Blom. He says, obviously there needs to be a shakeup in the room. What are our options right now? Question. Do we make a call up, pursue a trade, or just try to ride it out? Ryan.
Well, they don't have any cap space, so making a trade would have to be money in, money out, and that's probably not something that a lot of other GMs want to do to help out the Flames. A call up would depend on the injury status of Jonathan Huberdeau, and also right now the Flames, as we record, they have 23 players in the active roster, including Chris Tanev, who is not on the IR yet. He might be, he might not be.
They can
retroactively put Tanev on the IR, but then they still wouldn't have cap space, and then need to put someone in LTIR, possibly Shillington, to open up cap space. So that's a long way of saying they could, if they needed to or really wanted to, open up a roster spot or cap space to call somebody up. I don't think they want to do that because I think they want to avoid LTI for as long as they can, but it's an option.
The only one on IR right now is Stone, right? Like they put Stone on IR.
Stone and technically Shillington's an IR too.
Is IR? You would know. Is IR 7 days minimum?
IR is 7 days. LTIR means that from 30. The date of the injury, you have to miss 10 games and 24 days.
Yep. So they could, if once the player's out 24 days or you played 10 games, you might as well.
We're 30 days into the season as we record this, and Shillington's already missed all of them. So the Flames could throw him on an LTI, I believe. We don't know this for sure, but this is what we've been led to believe by the league.
And also, people, please stop asking about Oliver. We were respecting his privacy. Please just leave his situation be. Like, there's countless questions every game. Like, just please leave it alone.
It's because people miss him. I'd say for shaking it up, honestly, I think you try to ride it out. But I'm a fan of, there's been countless losing streaks in Flames history where coaches, after squeezing the stick too hard, just do a practice where they play. Like there's one game, I think it was like a Super Bowl weekend where the Flames hadn't been playing good, and I forget which coach it was. But they went to the crowd. They played baseball. Like they got like dodgeballs. They basically played kickball on the ice after a practice for shits and giggles. And like they were goofing around, they were loose. Like I think the problem is when you're losing and you're worried that, like, especially like Shane and I just mentioned so far, the Flames are playing like they think any frigging mistake they make will end up in the back of the net. And so they're, you play arguably sometimes too tight and too cautious, and you need to have a little bit of looseness in your game in order to be really good at it at times. And I'd say, maybe having a way to sort of knock the doom and gloom off and sort of have some fun would be something like that. I'd say this, what's really fun? Winning hockey games is really fun. That'd be an easy elixir. It seems like you get a slump buster and then things will start flowing. In the absence of that, I think you gotta stick with the group, even though you're missing 4 key players right now. But I think finding a way to sort of break out the doldrums a bit might be the thing to do it. Like, it might just be something as simple as one of the leaders in the room just playing some loud music just to sort of knock people out of their comfort zone and sort of loosen things up a bit.
Yeah, I the one part of the question I didn't like, if I can pull it back up, my phone's being really stupid, was obviously there needs to be a shakeup. There doesn't obviously need to be a shakeup. Teams can lose games in a row. It's the other team is just trying just as hard to beat them as they are to beat them. Like, it's not obvious. I
mean,
the one thing stands out about this rough patch is there's no single player that stands out as, okay, are you going to do it? Are you going to be the guy that pulls out? We don't know yet. This is a new team.
Yeah.
Someone needs to step up. The opportunity's there. It's just sitting there waiting. So far, the only player that's done it consistently is number 91. He's the only guy that comes in every night and finds a way on the score sheet. No matter what. He's at 12 points in 12 games, I think.
I'll say this. He had got a power play goal against the Devils, but he was also -2.
Oh, I hate plus minus. I get it. But
you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think I agree with you. I think Kadri has been probably the most consistently eye-popping player. But there's also stretches of games where he sort of fades into the background.
Well, the problem is when he fades, there's nobody else. Like, when he fades into the background, there's not a single other person other than Backlund in those last 2 games that have stood out as
maybe
driving everything.
Maybe Markström, but he's a goalie.
Where's 88? I'm sorry, you just got a brand new contract. Where are you? Like, the poor guy just absolutely stopped on the doorstep in New Jersey. Like, that one I felt bad for. I was like, come on.
He put it right into the pillows, though.
Right into the pad. But I'm like, part of this is you're the goal scorers. The centers are supposed to be driving play. That's right. You need to finish your goal off. Dubé disappeared again. Hot start. The same thing we've seen everything. He's giving me Sam Bennett flashes. He's here, he's gone. He's here, he's gone. It's not quite Rennie Bork level, but it's.
But in the Asker's defense, yeah, if so many guys are sort of fading into the background, then you need to do. I think if the coaching staff or whoever could do something to tease out someone to be a bit more outstanding,
something the leaders on the team aren't the guys that get the top power play time. They're right now, they're the new guys that are getting the top power play time. Leaders in the room aren't the guys that typically go out there and get the best opportunities to make the difference. And it's a real weird shift, weird personnel change in Calgary. We knew this was coming. We talked about how it's not going to be seamless and there's going to be rough patches, but in the end, it should work out.
Welcome to the rough patches. This is a team, like I said, hadn't had to deal with a lot of. This is a team that hasn't had to deal with a lot of adversity over the last year. And yeah, it's smacking them in the face. So we got, in the words of Lou Brown from Major League, let's see how they react.
Yeah. Yeah. And I personally, I think this next week should breed about, they're not going to lose every game forever either, folks. They're going to get another win. After you get that win, let's see where they can go. Right.
And that's a good transition. Coming up this week, Thursday night, the Flames are at the TD Garden in scenic Boston, Massachusetts to play the Boston Bruins. I'm willing to bet that even though it's school night, Matt Coronado will be in the house. Harvard's Matt Coronado, Flames top prospect, 7 points, 4 games.
Yeah.
Willing to bet
Coronado's in the house. All of a sudden, he's a center, by the way. He's the number 1 center at Denver this year. He's not playing on the wing.
Harvard.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I said Denver, didn't I? Harvard. Sorry. I always have a little bit of Cale McCarr stuff in the back of my head. I'm sorry.
We'll see what happens in March. Saturday night, the Calgary Flames are in action against the Winnipeg Jets back at home. If you are watching the game live and in person, good for you. If you're watching it from home, we've got a treat for you because Rick Ball is apparently going to be back. Our friend of everyone in Calgary sports, Rick Ball, good human being, great beard, great voice, very tall man, very nice man, has been sidelined. He had a health scare. He detailed it on the Eric Francis show on Sportsnet 960 The Fan about a week ago. Long story short, he got a blood clot that went into his lung and caused some scary shit. So
pulmonary embolism.
Very glad to hear that Rick's back in action and doing well. And I don't think he'll be traveling for a little while, but I'm just glad he's back in the booth because he's very good at what he does. He's also just a good dude, and I haven't seen him in a while.
I've never met Rick, but watching Flames games, he's brought a lot of joy and passion to a lot of people in this community. And I just want to say I'm so grateful you're healthy, Rick, and I'm so welcome to have you come back into my TV. And I am so excited. So
Monday night, it's a weird one. It's a 6:30 start. 6:30 on a Monday. Calgary Flames hosting the Los Angeles Kings. It's a 6:30 start for TV reasons. My guess is, it seems weird to me.
Monday
night
hockey.
Beware if you're coming to the game on Monday. Leave earlier than early because there's going to be traffic. There's going to be headaches, and it's a 6:30 start. So
I believe it.
We're giving you the heads up now. Tell work you got a stomach thing, you got the poops, I don't know, make up an excuse to sneak out early.
GTG, baby, there's Flames hockey.
Exactly. So those are the 3 games coming up. As always, you can catch all of your fancy schmancy Nation Network content on our Nation Network YouTube page. You can subscribe to the Nation Network on YouTube. You can subscribe and then go to the playlist button, hit playlist, go down to Flames Nation and bookmark the Flames Nation page. So you just go straight to our stuff. All our stuff is on YouTube. Pat Steinberg's Flames Nation Live, Shot Down in Flames with various characters, Flames Nation Radio with us, the friendliest people in the world, and of course, Burn Burner with our surly guys, Boomer, Pinder, Rhett. They've been very good this week. If you've not caught their stuff this week, I think they're getting better every week. They're in rare form this week, so you can check out every single episode.
Too. Pinder even said his last 2 episodes are the best yet.
Yeah. So
I'm wondering if he's gonna start doing donuts with the youngins in the Nation truck that he just got. So
the Nation Jeep.
The Nation Jeep. I don't know which one he got, so that's why we'll see. If you see the Nation Jeep around town, folks, it's Boomer. It's the Jeep's Pinder. So you'll see them. You'll see them.
Anyway, bookmark our stuff, like, subscribe, share, tweet, shout at people on the street to listen to Flames Nation Radio, and subscribe to the Nation Network content. That's all for us this week. As always, we're delivered to you by DoorDash and presented by Eau Claire Distillery, Rupert's Whiskey Makers, the makers of the Rupert's Whiskey, the official whiskey of the Calgary Flames. And hopefully, over the next 7 days, you get a chance to toast to a Flames victory, because wins are more fun than losses, and drinking a Rupert's Whiskey after a victory is presumably much better than doing so after a loss.
Yeah.
That's all for us. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.